A while ago I put together the video Perfect Panos, where I basically discussed a lightweight, easy to use solution to being able to get very accurate panoramas that do not exhibit parallax effect when you are basically stitching your photographs together. This thereby made it a lot simpler to be able to use things like the perspective control when you were trying to put your images together using something like Capture One, Lightroom or Photoshop. The basic answer that I discuss in the video, which you can take a look at in the link over here, is that you should use a leveling head. In this case I've got a Leofoto LS324 CEX tripod and, very importantly, the nodal rail. Now, I'm not going to go into the full specifics of the where-tos and the hows and the whys, because you can look at the full video to understand how to use the nodal rail. But importantly, I am going to discuss the nodal rail itself. Now, the one that I used in the original video is this Leofoto NR200, and this is a very, very good nodal rail. It does have a few provisos though to using it, which were brought up in the comments section of the previous video. First of which is the fact that what happens if your lens is longer than the 200 millimeters that the actual nodal rail itself stands at. And that is a very genuine concern, because if you've got a wide angle lens, there's a very good chance that this last little section is going to stick out inside the photographs themselves. That's not something that you want. The answer to that, of course, is to either get creative with a hacksaw to shorten it, or to get the slightly shorter NR150 or NR100 millimeter nodal rails, but those might be too short for the lenses that you're wanting to use. Then there is the other problem that I discovered when I ported over to using mirrorless cameras. Now, the D850 that I used in the previous video is quite tall, so it meant that when you have it mounted onto the NR200 with, say, a 16 to 35 millimeter f4 lens, you can still use filters, including 100 millimeter square filters on the front, and it doesn't impede movement. So it was a very, very useful tool. However, since I've moved across to using certain mirrorless cameras, suddenly you don't have that height inside a camera anymore. If you add this lens to, for instance, the Z7 that I have over here, suddenly it is too short at the base and you can't use square filters, or for that matter, most filter systems on the lens itself, particularly as the shorter lenses from the mirrorless system also mean that they clip at the front of the nodal rail itself. So this is my answer to that problem. Over here I have my now standard panoramic rig, which is essentially a set of legs with an included leveling ball. In this case it is the Leofoto LS324 CEX tripod, and then on top of the ball head I have a nodal rail, except this is a nodal rail of my own design. It is a PL-200 Leofoto long plate, which you usually get for long lenses. Then I have a riser included. This is actually a piece that came with my Zhiyun Weebill gimbal, but it is a piece that you can buy relatively easily off Amazon or from most of your camera stores. And I'll pop links in the description below for a suggested riser. But basically all this is a small piece that goes onto a gimbal to be able to give better balance to your camera if you have a very short camera. Attached to the top of this riser is a DC-24 clamp from Leofoto. Now, the advantage of this entire system, of course, is that I can actually shift the riser and the clamp back and forth along the rail. So not only does it now give height to the camera, meaning that I can add more filters and square filters to the front of the lens itself, but it also means that I can shift the entire rig back or forth just with the use of a 1/4 inch socket, essentially. As an added bonus, the entire setup is ever so slightly lighter than the NR200. So this has now become my de rigueur standard panoramic nodal rail, because not only is it lighter than my old NR200, but it is now adaptable. So if I have a shorter lens, all I need to do is take my riser and clamp and push them forward on the nodal rail itself, or if I have a longer lens, I can pull them back. The use of the DC-24 is specific. I haven't gone for a slightly smaller rig because I still need it to be wide enough that it will accept a L bracket that has an indent inside it, as you can see over here. So although it is tight, it does work. Now you can go more upmarket or heavier duty. You can put a different clamp on the top. You can have a quick release clamp if you want to, and you can purchase these from Leofoto or from other brands themselves. All you basically need to do is be able to screw it to the base of your long plate. And that's it. So you can actually have a nodal rail that is not just a nodal rail, but is an adaptable nodal rail. And all it requires is gathering a few bits and pieces to be able to put it together. Is it cheaper than buying the nodal rail on its own? No. In some cases, it's probably going to be more expensive, but there's a good chance that if you are a dedicated landscape photographer, you already own some of these bits and bobs, so you can create your own nodal rail. All you need is the clamp, a riser, and a long plate, and that's it. So this is my answer to Perfect Panos being able to produce a better nodal rail that'll suit every photographer out in the field. Cool. If you've enjoyed this video and you found it useful, and I hope you have it, particularly if you're shooting panoramics, please remember to pop a like and a subscribe into the blocks around the video screen, and hopefully I'll have some more tips for you like this in the future. Till I see you again in the next video, cheers.